Hi, everybody. Can anyone hear me clearly, loud and clear? I just want to post check, and I want to welcome you all to the webinar, the shift of automating startup operation for scale. Wherever you can hear me, my name is Emmanuel, and I'm not alone. I'm here with Samy, and I'm here with Seyi. If you can hear me clearly, I just want you to drop a comment in the comment section, and we will attend to it once again. Like I earlier mentioned, my name is Emmanuel Afemike from Bujeti, and I'm so happy that we're having this conversation. I'm so happy that today's conversation is for every founder, operator, and it's keen that we'll be paying attention to not just automation, but operation. It is no longer news that operation is just beyond buzzwords. It is the lifeline of every organization. And to be honest, every startup dream is to grow, but too many get stuck in the mess of manual processes, endless spreadsheets, day-to-day firefighting, and that's not what scale looks like. Scale happens when you build system that works, when you are not in the room, and that is where automation comes in. And to help us unpack this interesting conversation, I have two phenomenal leaders joining us. I have Seyi William-Ogunbiyi, and I also have Samy Chiba. I hope I pronounced his surname correctly, Seyi.
Yes, you did.
Oh, thank you. Yes. So just a quick introduction. Seyi is a seasoned product and operations leader, currently serving as the chief of product and operation at Selar. I don't think there's anybody listening that do not know what Selar is all about. His journey with the company began as a senior product manager, where his strategic insight and leadership quickly earned him the promotion to an executive role. That's quite impressive. With over 6 years of experience in Asia, Seyi has worked at renowned companies like Alibaba and NetEasy. And before joining Selar, Seyi built a strong foundation in banking industry at GT Bank, now GTC Co, and served as product manager in the fintech and innovative division. So it is not news, it is no longer secret that all of this experience has transformed into what we all know as what is giving the lifeline as operation in Selar. He has also led product team in inclusive banking division, another tier 2 banking, where he focused on leveraging technology to expand finance services to the underserved community. And that is quite impressive. And also joining me and joining him rather to give further insight to this discourse, I have Samy, the CEO of Bujeti. A number of people think that Bujeti is just expense management. Bujeti is a financial control machine that gives business end-to-end control on their business and how they move money across teams, budget, approval, making it easy while you focus on other key areas of operations. Bujeti handles the finance, and you can have time to focus on other things. Samy lives and breathes operation efficiently. He's going to share how Bujeti use automation to cut wastage, saves time, and empower team to focus on what truly matters to the team growth. Together, Seyi and Samy, I welcome you all, and they'll be giving us insights. So just to open up, for everyone here, the comment section is open, and if you have any concern, if you have any question, you can drop it in the comment section. So, Samy and Seyi, do you have anything, preparation for the conversation? I have my questions, and I also want us to make this more engaging and interacting. And so, before we dive into today's topic, can you give us a quick introduction to Selar, the role you play in empowering creators and businesses, especially for today, who we are hearing about the brand or those who are hearing about the brand for the first time?
All right. Thank you very much, Emmanuel, especially for that introduction. It's kind of interesting hearing about myself from another person's perspective. So like you rightly said, I am the Chief of Product and Operations at Selar. Very interesting role because it's kind of like the perfect balance between product itself, product operations, and then the company operations as well. At Selar, we're kind of like not kind of actually, we're an e-commerce platform for African creators to be able to easily set up a storefront to sell their digital products and services to a global audience. When I say digital products and services, I'm talking about things like ebooks, courses, master classes, membership type of products, subscription based products, tickets, anything basically that you deliver offline, oh, sorry, online, like nothing tangible per se. We allow them to be able to focus solely on creating while we take care of everything behind the scenes for them.
Amazing. Samy, can you also tell us how Bujeti has been, and for some people that may be hearing Bujeti for the first time? I know we have a number of people also joining for the first time here too.
Thanks a lot, Emmanuel. So yeah, Bujeti, I used to call Bujeti, President Bujeti, as your virtual CFO assistant. So Bujeti is not just software. Bujeti is not just about making transaction and payment. Bujeti is really a software that enables companies to structure their financial workflows and financial processes from end to end. So we cover all the financial processes of businesses, and we enable them to digitize and automate these processes to have more control and more transparency. It's interesting to see that all companies have financial processes, even if
Okay.
it's very old-fashioned one, even if it's very manual, it's still a process. So Bujeti does not create new things. It enables companies to improve, streamline their processes thanks to technology, so they can focus on high value-added activities.
Amazing, amazing. That's great to know. So let's start by examining the role operations play in businesses. Um, Before now, I've been reading, thinking about what operation is, and this is for Shay. When you think about the early stage at Seller, right? What were some of the toughest operational challenges you faced before you found your flow, before you were able to have your um, base established? I know you've had a huge experience in the past, but this as regards Seller, and what were the starting point and the toughest challenge you faced as regards operation?
Hmm. So I didn't join Seller from the beginning. I should mention Seller is actually kind of like an OG. It surprises people to hear how old we are. This year is going to be our ninth year in operation. Yeah. So when I joined Seller, I remember there were about less than 10 members of staff.
Okay.
And it's amazing in the last almost 3 years, we've grown to about, I was literally just doing a check not too long ago, 42 team members. Um, Beyond just Nigeria today, we also have staff in other countries. So one of the early challenges for us was obviously trying to, in our early days, trying to keep our overhead low while also scaling. We know one of the pain points for many startups in that operate in this market today is earning in your local currency, in our case in Naira, and then paying bills in USD. Used to be a bit of a headache, but then thankfully today we have quite a number of solutions and startups like you guys that are helping to solve a number of these challenges. But yeah, to answer your question directly, I think what I would say was one of the hardest challenges just before and when I joined Seller was um, we had an unfortunate incident where we were hacked. Yes, we were hacked, and considering merchandise is actually all online, where we're hosting creators, ebooks, their courses, and all the rest, they were all held to ransomware. So it was a bit of a challenge overcoming that, while also
Okay.
putting systems in place to ensure that it never happened again.
Oh,
Considering once again, small startup, keeping overhead low with only like running a somewhat global operation with only less than 10 people, while also trying to take care of something like that. We're not experienced in that sort of field. But yep, today I can boldly say these are growing pains that we've overcome.
Wow, that's great to know. And this story is already serving as the building block. It was in the news recently that Selar had about 2 million or more users, and it's quite intriguing to know that these are some of the building blocks for that success story. Seller powers thousands of creators and digital entrepreneurs. What was one process you had to simplify to automate that completely changed how Seller could support so many people all at once? I understand you mentioned that the team is lean, and so what was that process that was automated to serve these thousands and millions of creators around the world?
So one of the things we typically do is make small changes that have big impact. For us, we are creator first, and one of the things we did just after I joined, well, actually, it was quite a number of things, but one of the ones that serves um, that I remember well is our support team. We had to revamp our entire structure for how we ran support. We first of all had to expand the team, which is always not the solution. Solution is not always about hiring people, but obviously to serve the growing number of creators we had to expand our support team. We had to change a lot of our processes, which included breaking responsibilities into clear roles, changing the tools we use to be able to support better, providing more channels of support, streamlining processes, and all of that. So yes, that's one of the most memorable things I remember. It's always a work in progress. We're always
Definitely.
making tweaks. Yeah, we're always making tweaks. Like I said, small changes that have big impact. And because we're creator first, we try our best to pay attention to the needs of the creators we serve.
Amazing. Trust me, that's amazing. Breaking responsibility and getting the team first and foremost to know what they ought to do, and expanding the support. There's this mentor that I really follow online. He always say this thing: superior customer experience would effectively get your audience coming after. Sammy, from your experience, right? What are these small inefficiencies that's that silently kill startup if they are not addressed early? And what has been your experience so far? I understand before joining Bujeti, you've worked in other places and you have a lot of experience from management to operations. What do you have in that regard?
Interesting. From my experience, what kills a startup is not the big failures, it's the small inefficiencies that compound every day. The truth is, optimizing internal processes is not just an admin task, it's also a driver for competitiveness, for agility, and for growth. If your teams are stuck in repetitive manual work, they cannot focus on strategic decisions, where to invest, how to adapt, how to respond to market shifts. So at the end of the day, survival is about allocating resources, different resources, time, money, talents, whatever, to the highest value activities. So, for example, your finance
Okay.
team should be thinking about investment opportunity, optimizing cash flows, not spending hours reconciling bank statement manually. Same for
Hmm.
your marketing team. They should be decoding customer psychology, not like producing endless reports and routine content. So I used to say that every hour spent on repetitive low value task is an hour stolen from growth, innovation, and ultimately from the customer.
That's great. Every hour spent on repetitive tasks is an hour stolen from growth. That's great. So, in for you, you strongly believe that every sector of the business or organization should think growth first, instead of repetitive approach in doing things. Right.
Yeah, growth and scale is not just about the products. It
Okay.
should be infused everywhere in the business. every task that you do, you should think about growth. If you, like I used to say that any task that you do, you should think about how you can optimize it, how you can automate it, not because of just your own comfort. It's because you will free up time to do something more strategic.
Okay, that's great. That's impressive to know. So, what's one area you automated that instantly brought peace of mind to you and for the entire team in Bujeti?
Um, One of the first and one of that brought real peace of mind, I think, was about, and I'm big about that. It was about knowledge sharing and reporting. I'm
Okay.
very big on knowledge sharing and knowledge management
Yes.
because of what I've done before. But yeah, it was one of the most important steps in our own automation and our own processes. I think in any startup, if people spend more time looking for information than acting for it, you have a fundamental problem. So that's why we've started by building automated dashboards that gave us full visibility. What resources are being used, what deliverables are coming out, what are the bottlenecks. And suddenly, instead of debating opinions, you start looking at the same facts in real time. That transparency allowed us to act faster, to optimize processes, and then to decide what to automate next. So basically, this transparency creates trust, and trust creates speed. And in a startup, speed is everything.
Speed is everything. Thank you so much for that. To Sheyi, we've seen instances where startup grow. Okay, let me put it this way: as startup grows, right, managing team become expense. Managing team expense become more chaotic. Maybe the team is expanding or the team is growing. How do you, as the CEO of Selar, ensure transparency and accountability when different teams are spending on operations? I recall you mentioned there were more so there were expansion in the support team. So in other teams, how do you ensure transparency and accountability so that as different teams are spending on operation, it can be visible and it can be clear?
Okay, thanks so much for that. Like I said, it's been interesting seeing the journey of being part of Selar and seeing the journey for us growing, not just our creator base, but also internally from less than 10 to about 42 today. So one of the things which is very important for businesses is to plan, financial planning as well. So budgeting accordingly. But for transparency, especially for a team like ours, it's usually just relies on some level of trust. I hope. Okay, let me break it down a bit more. Um, you put systems in place and you need to trust that those systems, or you need to have confidence and trust that those systems are doing what they're supposed to do. So for example, before, expenses used to be very manual, which would typically allow for people, I'm not saying they did, but it will allow for people to exploit the system. But now with cleaner and better processes, with expense management using tools like Bujeti, we're able to rest easy. So I don't need to, once again, like Samy was saying, taking away focus from manual things so that you can focus on better things as a business. So for us, trusting in the processes and the tools we have has made things so much easier with respect to things like transparency for a large team like ours. You're muted, Emmanuel.
Thank you. I didn't see that. I was engrossed in the conversation. So yes, that is quite insightful. Um, while I understand that it is great to have those systems to put in place and all of that, so that everybody um, can know what is going on, not necessarily because there's no trust issues, but to avoid in a situation where one is vulnerable. I know Selar uses Bujeti to streamline expenses approval and control. How can you share how that has improved your team efficiency and also give you visibility as a COO?
I'm so sorry. I lost you for a minute there. Do you mind repeating the question?
Okay, my question is this. I understand you mentioned that processes was made and to get things more visible by using budgeting, right? Not necessarily because trust was not in place. So, for how has that helped increase efficiency in the team and also visibility for you as a COO?
Oh, so increasing efficiency in the team, it's a whole lot easier. I'll use a practical example. Or rather, the team, I usually joke, the team that spends the most money is the marketing team.
I know you mentioned marketing. Sammy, why are you laughing?
It's our marketing team, and the marketing team is also one of the largest, interestingly, in the company today. So you can imagine everyone in the team having need to spend money for different things. It could be expenses towards marketing shoots or events, or it could be expenses towards tools that they need, or even certain materials. For example, recently I had to a member of staff had to purchase a hard drive. So using Bujeti has made it so much easier. Where, like I said, early on for every startup, planning and budgeting is financial planning and budgeting is very important, so that you're not just spending money waywardly. Let me put it that way. So yes, we use Bujeti today to be able to track expenses, to budget, follow follow strict budgets, and also to track expenses accordingly. So today, the marketing team, whatever it is they're doing, I have clear insights and visibility into every expense, and I ensure that using things like your categories for expenses, I can ensure that things are being spent where they should be spent, and budgets are being stuck to.
Okay, that's great. And for those watching us, if you are in the marketing team in any organization, we understand you. We understand that helping the business grow, right? She is speaking as a CEO, and Simon is also laughing as a CEO. But that's quite interesting. Trust me, where visibility is, everyone has processes, and everyone have a clear laser focus. So for Sammy, I understand that you've seen moments where collaboration improve, but that does not really help the people. Okay, let me put my question like this: have you seen moments where collaboration improved, not because not because the team grew, but because the right systems were put in place? Have you experienced any of this before?
Before I jump on this question, I'd like to jump on what she said regarding trust. I think it's one of the most important thing when it comes to operation. The prime is always the prime of trust. That's the main thing that we need to implement in our processes. And I think it's difficult to bring this discussion when we have this about humans. Of course, you trust your people. Of course, you have to trust your employees. But I think a better way to manage that is to remove this topic from the conversation, remove the topic from the table when it comes to human interactions. If you have the right process and the right tools, you can trust the process, you can trust the technology. So you don't have to trust people. Even if you trust them, it's not the problem. You don't have to think about it. Yes, you trust them, but even if you don't trust them, they don't have the possibility to hack the system because the system is too strong. So yeah, just because I think this topic was really, really important. To go back to collaboration.
Yes.
Honestly, I think collaboration is not about adding more people at all. In fact, the more people you add, the harder it gets in terms of collaboration. For me, the real challenge is how to do more with less.
Okay.
And I see, you know, it's Emmanuel, but I see a company as a collective brain. And this brain should be smarter than the sum of the individuals inside it. So that's why at Bujeti we build systems around communication and knowledge sharing. We call it radical transparency at Bujeti because all knowledge is open to everyone at any time. So when we bring someone new in the company, it's not to fix a gap, it's not to execute a particular task. The goal is really to make this collective brain stronger. So I don't believe in, I believe in collaboration. Obviously, I believe in collaboration, but collaboration does not improve by adding people.
Okay.
Collaboration improves by making the system smarter.
Okay.
That's, in my opinion, that's the most important. So if your system is smart, you add people not because your system is broken and you have to patch it to fix it. You bring people because your system will be even better.
Okay. That's insightful. That's quite insightful. So systems will always be systems. Struck the When you have anybody on board, they will fall in line and they will align with the system and even make it more stronger. Thanks for sharing that. Sheyi, this is this is in also respect to trust and also infrastructure. While we also understand that we are all humans, when scaling, mistakes can break trust quickly. What steps can one take, or what steps have you taken in the past in any instance you've seen that help trust to be part of the structure of seller?
Okay, so for us, trust is everything because where payment or money is involved, whoop, people get very antsy. So to ensure that we do not erode the trust our creators have placed in us, we very early on invested in the right partnerships with the right companies, like you were saying earlier on collaboration. So
Okay.
we collaborate and work with renowned world leading, say in the payments industry, for example, payment to ensure that we're able to deliver across different rails. Another thing we've also done is to ensure we've built the right safeguards to ensure that the goods, which is the digital products that the creators have placed in us, are always available at all times. So 99.99% uptime on our products and services. Those are things we ensure, or rather, those are the things that we focus on to ensure that we keep the trust the creators have placed in us.
Amazing. So um, it's this trust has always been helping. Now it's out there. Seller is in about 194 countries, supporting about 13 different currencies and contributing to growing user base. What strategy has been used to keep operations going smoothly while you keep expanding, focusing on other areas? Um, Operation is not just okay. Operation is not just only about just the system, the, also with people, right? What has been the strategy that has helped in keeping operations moving smoothly as we continue to scale across different countries of the world?
Okay, let me first off start by correcting said earlier, Selar is available in 104 countries. Well, technically, that's true. For
Oh,
us
I didn't get that. Am I
being
the only one?
available,
I'm sorry, it's breaking. Is it my
No, it's
network?
on my end. The same on my end.
oh, okay. Pardon me. Let me try that.
Sammy, can you hear me clearly?
Yes, I can. I think we've lost Seyi.
Oh, okay. He mentioned it that he may possibly want to get his network back. While
Hello,
we wait for
Emmanuel and Samy. So, please confirm you can hear me now. Is it any better?
better, yes, you're
Okay.
welcome.
All right. So I was saying, I just want to quickly correct something you said earlier about Selar being in 194 countries.
Oh,
Well, technically that is kind of true. Like anyone anywhere can pay for Selar. Rather pay using Selar. For us, what being live in a country means is that we're able to process payments and payouts using local methods. So, for example, in Nigeria, where we're live, you're able to pay um, using bank transfer method, card, mobile money, which is actually not that big. Even direct integrations, things like banks like neo banks like OPay and stuff like that. So in that regard, we're just live in 11 African countries, or rather, we
okay,
process payments and payouts. Let me correct that. Rather, we process payments and payouts in 11 African currencies and USD and GPP as well. So let me just quickly correct that. But once again, anyone anywhere can pay. Can pay for products and services using Seller. But for us, what we define as being live in a country is being able to process using local payment methods, process payments and payouts using local payment methods.
okay,
So to answer your question about strategy for keeping operations smooth, I think one of the one of the best strategies you can implement is having redundancies in place. For like I said, for us, trust is one of our biggest, actually, is our biggest currency because creators have trusted us to be able to provide the best services, which we always ensure that we have, aside from great support, 99.99% uptime. But to be able to keep that trust, we've built redundancies in place, be it multiple payment partners to ensure smooth operations for collecting funds, not just collecting funds, but also paying out funds to the creators, be it support channels as well. Across board, we've built a number of redundancies to ensure that if there are failures, there are alternate means that we can almost immediately switch to.
oh, that's great. That's proactive thinking. We're not waiting for it to happen before we put situation in place. All of this have already been put in place to make sure things are already moving. Great. So,
And
Sammy,
even, wait, sorry, let me even make a joke. Even with Bujeti too, that we rely on fully, we have redundancies, which
Sammy,
thankfully we actually never had any issues with failures.
yeah. So that's we've not had any issue. So that's quite interesting. So proactive thinking, um, making sure that all of these are in place. And thanks for the correction. Um, so Sammy, with this mind shift, right? We are seeing that automation is helping. We are seeing that automating infrastructure isn't just a nice to have, isn't just part of the utility. It's also a sign of trust. What does it mean in your view? And also, how does a smooth operation experience shape customer and business? You're muted, Sammy.
Sorry, I didn't get your question. Can you come again, please?
Okay. We've seen that automations, right, is not just nice to have, it's part of the process. It also helps to build trust, to reinforce trust. What is your view on that? And also, in addition to that, what does a smooth operation experience do to shaping the business and also shaping customers' perception?
As I mentioned regarding trust, I think trust should be focused on the system itself and on the tools that you use to build your systems. I see companies like mechanical systems. You have inputs and you need to create outputs with this input. And behind it, between the input and the output, you have these systems that are running to create this output. The input is quite simple. The input is the understanding of customer needs. a need that
Okay.
is expressed by the market. And from this input, you need to do something, to activate something, to create the output. The output is the service or the product that you want to propose to the market. And internal processes are the systems that will transform the input into this output. So that's why it's so strategic. Everybody has an understanding about what the market needs. You have every day you have ideas about what can help people's life. How do you execute it? How do you create it in real life? It's because you are able to create systems for engineering, for marketing, for sales, for customer support. And it's very important to see how these systems are important. Not more important than the product or the service itself, but we need to understand that there is no product, there is no service if these internal processes are not perfectly aligned and perfectly streamlined. And the difference between two companies, we can have the same product or the same service. You can have a competitive advantage over your competitors just because you have better internal processes. So the experience is better. So your cash flow are better. You cannot imagine how many companies make more money than their competitors, not because the product is better, just because they are able to manage their finances properly. You know a lot. We have a lot of examples of products that are less impressive than their competitors, but the customer support experience is so good. So you build trust with your customers. So yeah, I think it's important to emphasize the role of these internal processes and their optimization in terms of competitiveness and in terms of customer satisfaction.
Okay. So in addition to that, automation is not just a nice to have. It's also part of the building the system and getting it to work.
Yeah, definitely. Well, today it's like a entry barrier now
Okay.
in the markets. If you don't have this level of automation, it's even impossible for you to reach the market because your competitors are already automated. So it's not nice to have. It's needed to be able to enter the market.
Okay. That's great. So for us now, we are already getting to the heat of the conversation, right? I recall that Seyi mentioned something about automation, and some people seeing it as all that is it. My question is, automation is often painted as the silver bullet. AI is already fast coming. Sorry, AI is already here, but all of these things comes with its own challenges. What's one costly mistake you have seen startup make when adopting automation?
Okay, guessing that's for me, right, Emmanuel? Hello? Hello, can you hear me?
Hello,
Sorry.
I can hear you clearly.
Okay, great. Okay, so that is a very, very interesting question. And the reason I'm laughing is obviously we've made those sort of mistakes as well. So what I would say is a costly mistake I've seen startups make, and to a certain extent, this is from my own professional experience, is automating chaos. Automation is not about everything. Automation is not about everything because everyone, it's like a buzzword today. Like you said, even with AI gaining grounds today, everyone is just about, oh, let's automate this, let's automate that. But ugh, people make that mistake of automating chaos, and that just, when processes are broken, that just makes everything even bigger than it is. So one of the things we focus on at Seller before we automate anything is we refine the processes, the manual processes. We make sure it is perfect to the T. So even if it means hiring more people or allocating more resources to just ensure that that manual process is perfect, we do that. We test it, and then after we now build or adopt automation tools or build automations around it. overall, that just saves you so much time, money, and most importantly, frustration. Because you can imagine where a system is broken, you're not really understanding the problem and the process, and you just run and automate it. You think you're frustrated now. Woo! Wait till you make that mistake. So yes, it's something I've seen a lot of startups, unfortunately, do. There have been instances in our case where things are automated and we would roll back. We would go back to the drawing board and do everything manually. Like I said, even if it means allocating more resources to it, we would do that because once again, it's necessary to get it right in the beginning so that you don't make mistakes later down the line, especially for companies like ours that are scaling at a very rapid rate globally. It's very, very important you don't make the mistake of automating chaos.
Amazing. So just to follow up on that, when you say automating chaos, what do you what are you inferring to?
Okay, I'll give an example, or rather, I'll give a very, very practical example of what happens at Selar. Like I said, we allow creators to be able to set up storefronts to sell their digital products and services. At the core of it, what it means is we allow creators to be able to collect money from someone anywhere in the world, and we pay them wherever they are. So that means, say, Samy today, who's sitting in Paris, for example, is going to be purchasing a product from Emmanuel. Let's say Emmanuel today, as a marketing guru, has set up a masterclass on something around marketing. So Samy pays in euros. Emmanuel, sitting in Nigeria, gets paid out in naira. Now, for something like that, it sounds very, very straightforward. But in between, there are a lot of things that go on behind the scenes. Like I said, collecting the money, first of all, from Samy, ensuring that Samy also gets delivery of the product. Then at the end of the day, paying Emmanuel out in naira. Once again, so many things have happened behind the scene in between all of that. So imagine in our case where all of it is automated because we have how many thousand creators, hundreds of thousands of creators selling to millions of customers. If you have to have that entire process manual, it's going to be chaotic. So what we ensure we do is, first of all, like I said, right partnerships and collaboration with experts in the field, then also automating a number of things. I would pick one small process from the
Okay.
entire chain that spoken about, which is payouts. For example, in our industry, we are in the e-commerce industry. One of the biggest pain points is fraud. You have instances of people, say you have chargeback claims, you have people using stolen credentials, stolen cards to make purchases so that they get it's very messy. E-commerce, anyone that knows e-commerce knows how frustrating that can be. Now imagine if we are just sat back and being like, oh, okay, we're just going to automate payments, collection, and automate payouts without thinking of all of the other stuff in between. I'm laughing because we will not be in business today. We will not be in business today. So just in the payout process alone, we had to roll back and make the process manual so that we understood everything that was involved in the payout process. After that, we perfected the processes and then adopted the right tools and automated everything end to end to ensure that at the end of the day, Samy, who has made a legitimate purchase in France, is getting the product, and Emmanuel is getting delivery. Oh, sorry, is getting his payout as at when due.
Amazing. I did not see it in this light. Trust me. Now, what I got from what you just explained is before you can even get it right with automation rather, you need to understand the rudiments of the manual processes. Otherwise, you just keep building up on chaos, and at the end of the day, everything will come crashing. Trust me. When I was preparing for this didn't even cross my mind. And to founders out there, the first process is understand the rudiment, understand what is obtainable, understand the end-to-end process. there are 1,001 automation tools. There's 1,001 AI tool to help things done, to get things done with the step of with the speed of light. But if the fundamentals, the manual processes is not understood, everything will just be building processes on this faulty foundation. Samy, we've been discussing automation processes. We all know that a number of times people are not um, open to change. People have this resistance when it comes to adopting processes and changes, right? How have you been able to deal with resistance, whether from employees or leadership, or introducing a new automation that has changed the long-standing process? So, like Seyi mentioned, you need to get the manual process right. So all this while we'll be doing the manual process. But right now we are bringing in automation, and people will definitely give resistance, not because they don't want it, but because it is the human nature. So have you been able to deal with these? What are the workaround? What has been the strategy that you've been using to introduce automation and get people to adopt it with little or no resistance?
I think it's one of the most important topic when it comes to automation.
Okay.
I agree on the fact that yes, you cannot automate things that you don't understand. If you're not able to map your process, manage it manually, you won't be able to automate it. That's definitely true. And I like the automating chaos thing. I completely agree with that. So that's one of the most important. The second important thing is the resistance. And in my opinion, resistance usually comes when people confuse their professional identity with a specific task. The
Okay.
danger is when the task becomes the goal and not the bigger mission. So that's when automation feels like a threat. Let me give you an example.
Please.
Think about a farmer. If he
Okay.
believes that his purpose is to dig the soil, then the tractor is his enemy. But if this farmer understands that his real purpose is to feed the community, the tractor becomes a blessing. I don't know if my example makes sense, but
Sense.
it's the same for a CFO. Their mission is not to live in Excel files, Excel sheets, right? The goal, the mission of a CFO is to enable better strategic decisions. So
Okay.
automating flows does not erase their value, it amplifies it by freeing up time and resources to focus on the real goal.
Okay.
So, in my opinion, now or in the future, every task can be automated. But
Okay.
real objectives, like the real deep objective, are endless and always evolving. So to overcome resistance, the most important thing is to keep reminding your teams of the higher mission. So
Okay.
nobody define themselves by the task they are doing today, but by the mission.
Amazing. Amazing. They need to understand that the task in itself is not the end point, right? But why this is clear for me, have there been any time or any instances where even when some people get to understand this, just the human nature want to push back or give any resistance? Have you been able to? Have you had any experience? And what were the strategies that you used to induce adoption and continuous usage of the process?
Um, we are quite early stage, so it's part of our DNA. It's part of our hiring process.
Okay.
So I didn't really face that at Bujeti per se,
Okay.
because implemented that into our hiring process. One of the first thing we look at when we hire someone is how lazy they are. We like lazy people because they have this spirits of, okay, I have to do something. How can I optimize? How can I make it easier? If I see a task that is repetitive, how can I find a way to hack the system. We are a small team and a small team of hackers. Our main focus is that even if you are in marketing, in engineering, in sales, your main focus is, okay, how can we do more with less? So this spirit is really in our DNA, and that's the best way we have to avoid resistance, because we try to choose the right people.
Amazing. The people themselves would always comfort. Thank you for that insight. Seyi, you've already given some insight about the expansion of Selar in the countries, and it's quite interesting to know in any part of the world people can use the platform and pay in and pay out. You've explained that. Thank you for that. So my question to that is, Seller already serves a wide range of creators around the world. What is the biggest lesson you've learned about scaling regionally, where customers need to look the same but feel very different? Have you been able to implement operations in this regard?
Okay, so my background actually is first and foremost in project management. So
Okay.
I look at things as very clear cut, sit
Okay.
down, plan, execute. But thankfully, I eventually ventured into product management, where today I am still operating in. And one shift or one major change I had to understand and sort of adopt was putting the customer first, understanding the customers you're building for, and knowing what exactly their needs are. That was something I never really used to do much of in project management. So while scaling regionally, it's something that is always front and center. We build. That's why I said earlier on that yes, technically we're in 194 countries, but for us, what being in a country means is being able to process payments and payouts using local methods. So for us, understanding and knowing what our customers are like, what their preferences are, what their needs are in every region, every market that we're going live in is always front center. So one example is at the moment we're expanding to Francophone Africa.
Okay.
Not just expanding, actually, we've already been in that market, but we had to be very intentional about expanding there. So one of the many things we did first and foremost was hire people from that market that understood the region and then localize. So today, for example, you would find our products and services in French, in local French, like everything. We didn't just use a tool because there are tools for that. Everything line by line was actually done by someone who understood, or sorry, who was from that region, sat down line by line, translated everything, and then we implemented. So understanding your customers in every region, knowing and acknowledging that user behavior in one place is not going to be exactly the same in another. You don't just copy and paste, which is what many project managers do. You don't just copy and paste. No, you need to adapt locally for the markets you're going to be playing in.
Hello, Sammy. Can you still hear me? I can't hear Seyi.
Yes,
Oh,
I can hear you. Yeah.
so sorry. Where did you lose me? Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, where did you lose me? I was basically to sum it up,
Okay. Yeah.
adapt locally for every market you'll be scaling to.
Oh, amazing. So now I don't want to say Seller is already going big, right? So with this mindset, what operational habits or system would you build that would give you the most confidence as you continue to scale in Africa and also outside Africa?
Hmm. Now, that one's a bit of a thinker. What operational habits would I build?
Yes.
I think I would expand my previous answer to answer this as well. Understanding the markets. One of the best ways to do it is obviously hiring locally. But aside
Okay.
from that, going to that market, interviewing customers, interacting with the customers. Like, for example, I had to visit and spend some time in Francophone Africa. Hopefully, I would even be moving there so that we can continue to improve and change our experiences for customers in that market. We launched in East Africa, Kenya being the key market, about 2 years ago, and our chief marketing officer sits from there today. He's Nigerian. He's started from Lagos with us, but he sits there today just so that he's able to understand. So, what operational systems would I adopt or would I improve? Would just be improving the way I interact with customers locally.
Oh, okay, that's great to know, and I'm so happy that the expansion is going everywhere. Interestingly, so budget is also expanding again, right? Different regions. They, let me use the word of Ashil, our CEO said, we are cooking something, right? So we'll be there to support and Selar and other businesses in Africa. Samy, am I on the same table with you on this? Yes.
100%.
So as Selar keeps improving, budget is also there giving support and expanding the frontiers in African markets. So you have my full support, you have our support. Keep moving, and we are coming, right? So that's great to know. Africa to align just to support the vision that Bujeti also has. Businesses across Africa should have ease, should not bother about how end-to-end management of their finance is being done and other key area. So for Samy, when you think global, right, what's one non-negotiable system every startup or businesses to have in place before even dreaming of expanding beyond their home markets?
Well, it will be obvious, but if I had to choose one, it would be an automated finance and compliance backbone. Because when you are local, you can still get away with Excel files and manual reconciliation, it's fine. But the moment you cross borders, you step into a world of multi-currency, multitask regime, multi-regulators, and at scale, every small error becomes a crisis. So automating this infrastructure not only protects your cash, it builds trust with investors, with teams, with global partners. And this trust is the currency you need to scale internationally. So the product itself might open the door of this market, but your financial system it's your financial system that lets you stay in the room. And obviously, I have this perspective because I'm running Bujeti, but I like also what Seyi said about talking to customers. Anywhere you go, you need to have a process. And the thing is, it's a bit tricky because I don't know, correct me if you are not aligned with this, Seyi, but this part of talking to customers is not really scalable. It's not part of the scalability of the business. It's exactly what is not scalable, and that's why there is value in it. Because every time you go to new markets, you have to do it again, and there is no way to automate it.
Yeah, that's actually why I said that it's one of the things I would love to automate and improve on. Like every time we go to a new market, being able to talk to our customers, but improving on the whole process overall.
Wow. So the human touch, the human-centric feeling to customers is the non-negotiable for you.
Definitely.
Okay. Amazing. We are almost rounding off. And for everyone watching, thank you so much for your time. I can see the engagement in the comment section. And if you have any question, do not hesitate to drop it. And either for Samy or for Seyi, they would respond to it. So now to draw our final insight and conclusion, this is for Seyi. If you were sitting with a founder building today, what's one smart decision or one smart advice you would give them to make early about operation system that will save them pain down the line?
Okay, so I will give two answers. First one will
Okay.
be a repetition of something I said earlier. Do not automate chaos. That is the biggest mistake you can make. Don't automate chaos. Spend your time going through the motions, understanding the problem, mapping out the processes manually, improving on them, testing it out, perfecting it before you automate. So don't automate chaos. And the second answer, or the newish answer I'll be giving, would be um, document everything. Transparency is very important, but aside from that, document everything, no matter how little it might be. Like I said, joining Selar, it was a team of less than 10 people. Today we're over 40. Now imagine if over time we had not documented a lot of our processes, a lot of things, and it's every onboarding or as we grow, you have to start running people through all of that, explaining stuff. It's just a waste of valuable time. Document everything because it will be quite useful in the future when you grow. Every startup's dream is to always continue to scale and grow. So start to plan for that scale and growth from today.
Amazing. So, Sammy, what operational process or what smart decision founders needs to make early about their operation system that will save them pain down the line that they need to take fast?
It will be related to what I said regarding resistance and the confusion between the task and the goal. My advice first is make optimization a religion. Every time
Okay.
you create a process, ask how you can improve it. Every time you see a pattern somewhere, ask yourself how you can be standardized. Every time you see a repetitive task, ask yourself how you can automate it. But in my opinion, the real key is that don't optimize for the sake of efficiency alone.
Okay.
Optimization, automation is not the goal. It's
Hmm.
part of the process. The real purpose of a strong operational system is to create space for controlled chaos. We talk about chaos again. Because that's where innovation lives. That's where your success lies in the activities that don't scale. When your core systems run smoothly on their own, you free up time and resources to experiment, to test, to fail, to try again, and most importantly, you have more time to spend with your customers. So that's why you want to automate things. That's why you want to optimize, streamline your processes, because it's running by itself, and then you have more time to do things that don't scale. And that's where the growth opportunities, the scaling opportunities are.
Wow. Wow. I've learned don't automate kiosks. Um, the parts that really needs to be in place is to have interaction, the human feel of a business. Um, the tax itself is not a is not the goal, the bigger picture. And that the example you gave using the farmer analogy was top notch. What an insightful session, and I want to say a huge thank you to Seyi. I want to say a huge thank you to Samy for Bujeti for sharing not just strategies but lived experience on how startup can move from chaos to clarity using smart automation system, um, incorporating people, your team members to adopting the system. If there's one key takeaway for me, I've learned that don't automate chaos because at the end of the day, it will come back to haunt one. And at some point, manual processes, you need to understand the manual process in itself before you start switching to automation. Because if you don't understand it, there will be bottlenecks when one is scaling. And also, Sammy mentioned the repeated tasks. All of these ones need to be taken care of by automation. The big dream is how businesses can scale, how they can get into more partnership, how they can invest. All of these insights, that is the real shift. Moving from being stuck in the day-to-day of creating businesses, these are what build businesses to last. And to everyone that have joined us, thank you so much for showing up with curiosity and openness. And I hope that you're not just inspired, but ready to take the first step, whether it is automating one process, rethinking your system, or simply asking, how can my business run smarter and not harder? Let's keep the conversation going in the comment section. You can always connect with Seyi on LinkedIn. His handle is tagged in the description of this post. You can always connect with him. You can also always connect with Samy. And I wish you all the very best, because the future of African startup isn't just about growth. It's about scaling with excellence, trust, and impact. Until we meet next again, keep building and keep automating. Thank you so much for your time. It is really, really, really appreciated. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you very much, Emmanuel. Thank you, Seyi. It was a pleasure.
Thanks everyone for joining in today. Pleasure getting to speak with you, Samy, and also Emmanuel.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.